Hey everybody, happy almost Friday. I don't know where you are, but in Oregon it's pretty warm. It's beautiful, but yeah, I don't like heat. There's been a lot going on in our country, and I wanted to chat about advocating for yourself and your health and just really listening to your gut and doing a lot of research. And I know that it can be confusing out there, very confusing. But I wanted to share kind of my own experience to hopefully encourage you to dig deeper. There's some really, really contradicting information and guidance and stuff out there. And so I don't want to sound like super negative or anything like that, but I just want to nudge you to, like I said, listen to your gut, follow your instincts, dig deeper. For one, we live in a country where the number 3 cause of death is medical mistakes. And you may or may not have heard some of my story before, and how, like, I am a holistic health coach. I have a master's in health psychology, and the whole reason I came into this is because of my journey, which I'll share briefly. So I was kind of a typical American adolescent girl who struggled with my weight and things like that, and got into exercise and started studying nutrition on my own during that time, and it was great, and it really helped me so much with my confidence and obviously my health. And I learned a lot, and I've evolved, as we all do, no matter what our passion or our focus is. I've evolved from paying attention to calories and just, the calories in, calories out type of thing, and followed the low fat trend and all that, to really understanding nutrition on a deeper level, and hormones and stress and toxins and the whole thing, and how it all really, it's not this black and white thing. It's like this real mix of things that really impact things in such a more intricate and complicated way, which is fascinating. It can be confusing, and it can be kind of hard to navigate, but I don't know. I mean, I personally have a lot of fun with it and nerd out on it, but it can be frustrating when you're just, like, I work a lot with women who are trying to lose weight, and it's like, your body's not responding well, and it can be from underlying things. Anyway, with that being said, so I've really come a long way in all of that, and it's been awesome. But I also have dealt with things like my own health stuff, and then following along with my parents and things that they've dealt with. So that's really what led me, honestly, to seeing my parents deal with certain things, led me to question, why is the advice being given and the things being prescribed so not helpful? My dad was in a car accident when my son was exactly a week old, and he should not have made it out alive. It was a crazy accident, and was in the ICU for 5 days. And anyway, his life was changed, and he ended up, lots of broken bones and things like that. And then, he can't do what he used to be able to do. But then 6 months later, I was in Washington visiting my sister, and I got a phone call during the night, and my dad down in Oregon had to take himself to the ER during the night. And anyway, his diaphragm, his stomach ended up going through his diaphragm because there was a small tear in his diaphragm from the accident that they didn't know about. And his stomach had gone through, some of that tissue died, they had to remove a third of his stomach. So when I went to pick him up from surgery, I remember, this was before I was into holistic anything, and was like, well, what is he supposed to eat? This has got to have a major impact on his digestive system, and the doctor was like, stay away from hot dogs, because of like the shape of his stomach or something. It was just like, that was literally all he said. And basically it was, I don't know. I don't know. So, you know, not knowing enough myself at that time, I had not, you know, had any kind of education yet, and had really not dove into anything aside from, like I said, my focus was calories at that point. I was like, that just doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. And I'd known people who had had gastric bypass surgeries, and they had very specific foods that they could and couldn't eat, you know. So anyway, to this day, it's still a struggle for him. And my son is almost 15, so 15 years later, when my dad was in that accident. So that was one thing that led me to just kind of a disbelief and like, huh? And then my mom, you know, this has been like, she has a much longer journey and more complex, but you know, she's always had thyroid issues and went on medication, I mean, like early on. And you know, now that I know what I know, I realize that, you know, she probably had major adrenal burnout, which, you know, I mean, she had her fiance passed away, and she was his main caretaker right before. And I mean, stress. And then she got married not long after that, and she had twins. That's hard on your body. Anyway, so, you know, major impact on your stress hormones and how your body responds to that. And then if your adrenal glands are kind of really pushed to their limits, then your thyroid will end up being impacted. I mean, that's very, very common. And so she was basically told your thyroid doesn't work, and has been, you know, put on certain medication. Well, depression is something of a struggle as well, and anxiety. If you're struggling with things like that, you need to check your thyroid, and you need to check all numbers of your thyroid, not just your TSH and your T4, which are the two that they'll usually check, and that's it. And they'll fight you on checking more. If you have questions, please message me and we'll chat about it. Anyway, so when I finally started learning about thyroid, I looked at her numbers, and oh my gosh, like she's never been, they're all over the place, and the medication is up and down and trying this and that. And oh my gosh, it's no wonder that there have been some of the struggles she's had. So anyway, I kind of helped her navigate some of that and get on a different medication that was actually better for her, like actually targeted what her thyroid numbers were telling us. And she said she felt better than ever. And with all of that, there's also been, you know, lots of different other medications. And at one point, you know, because you start in on one medication and then you usually need another, like so if you're being treated for thyroid stuff, but with the wrong medication, and then you're also depressed, and you'll get on a depression medication, and then maybe you can't sleep, so you're put on this, you know, like just snowballs, right? So at one point there were several medications, and then she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She didn't have fibromyalgia. It was because her medications were interacting together in a negative way. And so thankfully somebody kind of figured that out for her, and I believe it was a family member who's a doctor, a holistic doctor, not like a doctor that she was seeing. But anyway, and then later she was diagnosed with Parkinsons, and on her chart they say drug-induced Parkinsons. Well, if you look at all this stuff and dig into the medications, absolutely, years and years and years of all this stuff can 100% cause things like this. So my point is, and I know that was a lot, but that's why I am very careful when I look at information, or when I, you know, when you're out there dealing with doctors and medication and all that. And I'm not putting doctors down. I'm saying the training has been geared toward what can we sell, what can we make money on. And I mean, that's just the bottom line. So there's not money in healthy people, there's money in sick people. So that's where I really encourage everybody to have really good critical thinking skills, which are not very valued these days. It's you think what everybody else thinks, or we're going to be mean to you, is really honestly how it is. I'm not a fan. I've had my own health stuff and have really dug in deep, and I've learned how to manage my symptoms very well. I still don't have a diagnosis, but I have a strong suspicion that mine has to do with mercury toxicity from the amalgams in my fillings. And that's another thing, you know, like we're told this and that and everything is safe. And if you have, you know, whatever happens to you, that's just random. That's just random. Like we don't even know. That just happens, you know, and all these autoimmune things, we don't know. Well, we have autoimmune issues up the yin yang in our country, and it's like only getting worse. And people just think I'm just getting older. And that's just not true, you guys. I mean, the toxins, the medications, the stress, the gadgets that we're connected to all the time, all these things are toxic in our systems, and our bodies carry a lot of systemic inflammation, which equals autoimmune. So I am going to leave it at that. And you know, that was just a very personal look into basically where I come from. And my hope is just that you kind of stop and sit back and think, like, you know, just be a critical thinker. What's really behind some of this stuff? You know, think of, you know, dollar signs are like the big thing. Dollar signs, like, look at where the money is, look at like who's telling people certain things and why. You know, there was, you know, this whole thing recently where, without saying too much so my video doesn't get shown, certain doctors were not allowed to speak out on something that is very cheap and has been shown by lots and lots and lots of other doctors, around the entire world to be helpful. And it's it's a medication that lots of people take. People take it for lupus, which is autoimmune, and it's been around for years and years and years and years and years. And if you take it at low, safe doses, it's actually safer than some other over-the-counter medications that everybody takes like daily. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Do some digging, advocate for yourself, speak out, and be nice to each other. Sick of people being mean to each other. All right.